The golden calf. The desert winds blew across the camp of Israel as they waited at the foot of Mount Sinai. The mountain loomed before them, wrapped in smoke and fire, trembling with the presence of the Almighty. They had seen wonders, the plagues of Egypt, the parting of the Red Sea, the manna from heaven, the water from the rock. Yet now, as days turned into weeks, uncertainty began to spread through the camp. Moses had gone up the mountain to meet with God, and he did not return. The people remembered the thunder, the trumpet blast, and the voice of God declaring his commandments. They remembered how the mountain shook and burned, how they had trembled in fear, begging Moses to speak with God in their place. But now the silence was long. 40 days had passed and Moses was still gone. Doubt whispered through the tents. Where was their leader? Had he perished in the fire that consumed the mountain? Anxiety turned into restlessness. Without Moses, the people felt abandoned. The wilderness pressed in, vast and empty, and fear gnawed at their hearts. They gathered around Aaron, the brother of Moses, the one left in charge. They pleaded with him, voices rising in desperation. "Make for us gods who will go before us. As for this Moses who brought us out of Egypt, we do not know what has become of him." Aaron hesitated. He had stood beside Moses before Pharaoh. He had seen the mighty acts of the Lord. Yet the pressure of the people weighed upon him. Their eyes were filled with expectation, their voices urgent. Instead of resisting, Aaron yielded. He asked them to bring the gold from their earrings, the treasures they had carried from Egypt. Men and women removed their ornaments, handing them over. The fire burned hot, melting the gold into a shapeless mass, and Aaron shaped it with tools into the figure of a calf. When the people saw the golden calf, they cried out with joy, "These are your gods, O Israel, who brought you up out of the land of Egypt." Their voices echoed through the camp, a chorus of idolatry rising where once they had pledged loyalty to the Lord. Aaron built an altar before the calf and announced, "Tomorrow shall be a feast to the Lord." Yet the feast was not to the true God, but to an image of their own making. The next day, the people rose early. They brought offerings, burnt sacrifices, and fellowship offerings before the calf. They sat down to eat and drink, and then rose to indulge in revelry. Music filled the air, voices shouted in celebration, and the camp that had once trembled at the voice of God now danced before an idol of gold. Their worship turned into chaos, their joy into disorder, their freedom into sin. High upon Mount Sinai, Moses remained in the presence of the Lord. He received the tablets of stone, engraved by the very finger of God, containing the covenant commandments. The holy law was entrusted into his hands. Yet even as God gave, he also spoke of what was happening below. "Go down at once," the Lord said, his voice heavy with anger, "for your people, whom you brought up out of Egypt, have corrupted themselves. They have turned aside quickly from what I commanded them. They have made for themselves a golden calf and worshipped it, saying, 'These are your gods, O Israel.'" The Lord's anger burned. He declared his intention to destroy them and make a great nation from Moses alone. The words were fierce, the judgment certain, but Moses, standing between God and the people, pleaded for mercy. "O Lord," he cried, "why should your anger burn against your people, whom you brought out of Egypt with great power and a mighty hand? Why should the Egyptians say, 'It was with evil intent that he brought them out, to kill them in the mountains'? Turn from your fierce anger. Remember your covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, to whom you swore by yourself to make their descendants as numerous as the stars, and to give them the land you promised." The Lord relented from the full destruction he had spoken of, though his anger remained. Moses turned and descended the mountain, carrying the tablets of stone, the work of God himself. As he approached the camp, Joshua, who had remained part way up the mountain, heard the sound below. "There is the noise of war in the camp," Joshua said. But Moses, his face stern, replied, It is not the sound of victory, nor the sound of defeat. It is the sound of singing that I hear. As they drew nearer, the scene came into view. The golden calf gleamed in the sun, and the people danced wildly around it. Drums pounded, voices shouted, and laughter filled the air. Moses' heart burned with righteous anger. He held the tablets, sacred and precious, the covenant of God written by his own hand. But as he saw the idolatry, the betrayal, the sin of the people, his fury overcame him. He threw the tablets down, shattering them at the foot of the mountain. The covenant lay broken in pieces, reflecting the brokenness of the people's hearts. Moses seized the calf. He burned it in the fire, ground it into powder, scattered it on the water, and made the Israelites drink it. The idol that they had worshipped became bitter in their mouths. Then Moses turned to Aaron, demanding an explanation. "What did this people do to you, that you led them into such great sin?" Aaron stammered, torn between guilt and excuse. "Do not be angry, my lord. You know how prone these people are to evil. They said to me, 'Make us gods to go before us.' So I told them to give me their gold. I threw it into the fire, and out came this calf." His words faltered. The truth laid bare in his weakness. Moses looked upon the people, unrestrained in their frenzy, a spectacle of shame before their enemies. He stood at the entrance to the camp and called out, "Whoever is for the Lord, come to me." The sons of Levi gathered around him, their faces resolute. Moses commanded them by the word of the Lord to go through the camp, striking down those who persisted in rebellion. That day, about 3,000 fell. It was a grim judgment, but necessary to purge the camp of corruption. The next day, Moses addressed the people, his voice heavy with sorrow. "You have committed a great sin, but now I will go up to the Lord. Perhaps I can make atonement for your sin." He ascended the mountain once more, his heart burdened for the nation. Standing before God, he prayed with desperation, "Oh, what a great sin these people have committed. They have made themselves gods of gold. But now, please forgive their sin. But if not, then blot me out of the book you have written." The Lord answered with justice, "Whoever has sinned against me I will blot out of my book. But now go, lead the people to the place I spoke of. My angel will go before you. Nevertheless, when the time comes for punishment, I will punish them for their sin." The Lord sent a plague upon the people because of the calf Aaron had made. The camp was subdued. The joy of revelry was replaced with the weight of guilt. The golden calf was gone, reduced to ashes and dust, but its memory lingered as a wound in their history. The people had been given the law, had seen the glory of God, and yet turned quickly to sin. The lesson was seared into their souls. Freedom from Egypt did not guarantee freedom from sin. Their hearts still longed for what their eyes could see, for gods of their own making instead of trust in the invisible yet living God. Moses again interceded, pleading for God's presence to remain with them. He would not lead the people forward without the assurance that the Lord himself would go with them. And God, in his mercy, renewed his promise. Moses was called once more to ascend Sinai, where God would write the commandments again on new tablets. Though the covenant had been broken, it was not destroyed forever. Grace and mercy triumphed over wrath, and God's plan continued. The story of the golden calf remained a testimony through the generations. Prophets and psalmists recalled it as a warning, reminding Israel of the danger of idolatry and disobedience. It became a mirror of the human heart, quick to turn aside, quick to forget, quick to trade the glory of the living God for the images of human hands. Yet it also revealed the power of intercession. Moses stood between God and the people, pleading for mercy, willing even to bear their punishment himself. In this, he foreshadowed a greater mediator to come, one who would not only plead for mercy, but would give his own life for the sins of the people. The golden calf was ground into dust, but the lesson endured. God alone is worthy of worship. His covenant is sacred, his presence holy, his law just. To worship anything else is to fall into ruin, but to cling to him is life. The wilderness journey continued, but the shadow of the calf followed them, reminding them of both their weakness and God's mercy. Sinai still stood as a mountain of covenant, where law and grace intertwined, and the people of Israel walked forward, chastened but not forsaken, carrying the memory of their failure and the hope of God's promise.